Okay, perfect. So we've picked the car out, we've demonstrated it to the customer, we've shown them the features, we've shown them the benefits, we've shown them what's in it for them by going with this vehicle. So now what we're going to do is now we're going to go ahead and go for a test drive. So the test drive is arguably the most exciting part of the sales process, right? I get to experience a brand new car, I get to check out the new technology, I get to feel what it's like on the road, right? So the interesting thing about this, right, is you have in the customer, right? You have a brain, you have a mind, and you have a heart. Okay, so you need to kind of think about this stuff when we're presenting a car, when we're driving a car, and you want to keep in mind that this is how somebody is connecting with us, and it's how they're connecting with the car. So if we say, okay, the brain can process thoughts, right? Very black and white, very analytical, up, down, left, right, center, right? That's what your brain does. Now okay, so we have a brain that processes thoughts. We have a mind that can reason, and we have a heart that feels. Okay, so of these three things, when you talk about making a decision, which one do you think is the one that actually makes the decision? Okay, now if you said the mind, you're with about 90% of the population, right? We think that decisions are made through an analytical process. Well, the fact is, most decisions are actually made over here, right? So what types of things do you hear from friends or people that you know when they don't make a purchase? Well, it just doesn't feel right, right? So when you're doing your demo, when you're doing your presentation, this is who you want to talk to, right? You want them to experience emotion and create connection to the vehicle and to you when you're making your presentation. So if you're just gonna just throw random information out there that they can just process, in thoughts, you're not really getting past the surface, right? You're not really getting that deep connection. Now you might give them all the reasons in the world for why something might be the best decision, but unless they actually make a connection and feel it, then they're not going to make that decision. So you want to constantly be talking about this, right? You want to be constantly creating that emotion in the customer so that you can get your point across and get that car sold. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a demo drive. And as we're demoing the car, what are they doing when they're driving? They're feeling it. They're feeling how the road feels. They're feeling how the car responds, right? And the last thing that we want to do is get in the way of that. So you are going to point out some key features, but for the most part, you want to let them just kind of enjoy the experience. So don't talk on the whole demo drive. Just kind of point out some key features. Stay kind of quiet and let them experience it. Let them start to ask you questions, right? This is where we want to let them just kind of enjoy the car. So before you go on a demo drive, we need a couple things. So we need to make sure they have a driver's license. So you're going to get their driver's license. Okay, you're going to shoot a copy of it and you're going to bring it up to my desk. Now, on the copy of the driver's license, I want a couple things. I want to know what the stock number is that you are driving. I want to know what the customer's phone number is so that we can reach out to them later if we need to, hopefully to say thanks for buying a car. And we want to verify the address. So if there's an address on their driver's license, you need to verify the address. Is this your current address? If it's not, write down whatever the current address is. Okay, so now we already have all the information that we need to be able to follow up with that customer later on down the road. So now you are going to drive the car off the lot. Okay, you drive the car off the lot, and then you're going to go to kind of a neutral place where you guys can trade. So typically like a Walmart parking lot is great if there's one close. A large parking lot where there's not a lot of other cars around, something you need to keep in mind. This is the first time driving this car. They're not familiar with the technology. They're not familiar with a lot of the handling and whatnot of the car. So they may not be completely comfortable driving this car around a bunch of other cars. So go to an empty parking lot somewhere, trade, and when you are trading, you can point out some other features on the car. Hey, look at those wheels and how that looks kind of from the side view, right? Because you're not surrounded by a sea of cars that are all for sale now. Now you've kind of cut this one away from the herd, and you can really kind of highlight some of the really cool features. It's got a spoiler, it's got the sunroof, it's got this. Wow, that color's beautiful, isn't it? Right? But it gives you that chance to kind of create more connection with that car, because you don't have that other car over there, or that other car over there, or that other car over there, which they all might be considered as well. Now we're focusing on this car. Okay, so point some of that stuff on your way back around the car. Okay, now they're on the driver's seat, you're in the passenger seat, and you guys are going to go ahead and start to go on a test drive. If at all possible, make all right turns. You don't want to make them turn left across traffic. That can be frustrating at times. Maybe you get hung up at an intersection, or you got traffic coming this other way that's not going to let you go. So if you make right turns, it's typically a nice smooth process. So try and make right turns if at all possible. You know, and talk about some of the key features on the car. Hey, wow, you notice how quiet it is in here? Yeah, and I used to look at people and I would say, hey, you notice how I don't have to yell at you to get my message across while we're driving? And they go, oh, wow, yeah, that is kind of nice, isn't it? Yeah, it is. What kind of music do you like? Turn the radio on, let them hear it, right? Sometimes they may have you turn off the radio so they can hear what the engine's doing, hear what the road's doing. You know, and that's great. And that all goes back to feeling, right? They're feeling the car, they're experiencing the car. So focus on those things. And then when you come back to the dealership, have them park it in the sold lane, right? Now, what is the sold lane? Well, it might just be a parking spot, or maybe you guys have an actual sold lane that you pull cars into. But when you say, go ahead and park it right here in the sold lane, what you're doing is you're implying that this is the one. And if they say, well, no, I don't need to park this one in the sold lane, well, then you know this probably isn't the right car. But if they pull it right into the sold lane, then you know, hey, chances are this is probably the right car, and if we can find a way to make it fit into their budget, then they're probably going to drive it home, right? It's a nice, easy kind of trial close when you get back from the test drive. This is where they should be the most excited. You should be the most excited. Go ahead, park it right there in the sold lane, and then we'll go and we'll grab the manager and we'll talk about it, right? So it's very easy. Let them create an emotional attachment to the car. When you get back, park it in the sold lane, and then come on inside and let's get the deal rolling.